Well, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanessa Bradford, the Hill Country Queen, and today we're going to be speaking to Will. And part of that, Will, is our lender extraordinaire. So his job today is going to be to explain different scenarios on how to buy a house and what it takes and how to get through it. And we're going to try to be very specific about the situation. So if you have very specific situations, make sure that you comment below so we can talk about those on the next video. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Vanessa Bradford, the Hill Country Queen. Please make sure you like and subscribe as we learn to buy homes.
Wait, what about why the Hill Country Queen? Because I'm blessed to be next to the Hill Country Queen, so I want to know why.
Okay, so I'm called Vanessa the Hill Country Queen because, I'm a little prissy. And I live in the Texas Hill Country. I moved from Houston, Texas on Easter of 2018. And I wouldn't head back to the flatlands of Houston, or the Bayou City as we call it, unless the Houston Texans are playing or the Astros are playing, and that's why I'm there. Or my mama told me to come home.
There
so
you
let's
go.
Be clear about that.
There's a Hill Country Queen. Anyways, let's get back to what we're going to talk about.
Okay, here we go. So let's do a very specific situation.
Okay.
Let's do single mom, divorced. Her and her husband have ex-husband, let's be clear, have one credit card together. It's $20,000, and he's been ordered to pay it.
Sure.
And he's only making the minimum payments.
Sure.
She's got a great job now. She's got the kids. She gets child support. But how does she go about getting a loan, buying a house? She hasn't been a working mom for years, and this is her first job back into the real world. Okay. And we want to buy a house. How does that work?
So first of all, the first thing that got my attention is one credit card, but has a $20,000 balance.
Yes.
Well, keep in mind, when it comes to lending, we don't care about the balance.
Okay.
We care about the monthly payment.
Okay.
So that's a big deal, because sometimes some of these credit cards that do have a large have a large payment. Sometimes the payment is deferred. Sometimes they break it down certain different ways, but it's always the minimum monthly payment that we're worried about.
Okay, so it's $20,000, but it cost me $250 a month, or him,
$250 a month.
Right. But what if he doesn't make the payment, even though the court, I have a document that says he's supposed to pay it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Aha, okay, everybody, this is the important part. Pay attention. So if he doesn't make the payment, I get dinged, and then I can't buy a house for 12 months, 6 months?
At least at a minimum 12 months.
Okay, so that means, ladies and gentlemen, and it doesn't matter who's got the debt and who's responsible or whatever. What it means is that in this situation, if you are a divorced person,
correct,
you must make sure that the person who is supposed to make the payment makes the payment. Even though you're not supposed to, you may have to make that payment so it doesn't go on your credit.
Right.
If you're trying to buy a home. Now,
that's the thing, though, is that we can omit that payment because that's per the divorce decree. That's not the problem here, because the client's going to be like, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to my ex-husband. You're absolutely right. And we can omit that. But the problem here is not that. The problem is the credit score. Because every time there's a ding, it's going to ding the credit score. So regardless of what it is, I can't overcome the credit score.
Got it.
That's the problem. Okay,
so that's a valuable lesson, everybody, to realize that. Because, and I don't think the debtor, or I don't know what you call it, the person holding the debt, the credit card, MasterCard, whatever, they won't let you remove your name from that, will they?
No, they won't.
Second lesson of the day.
They would actually literally have to close it, period. They would have to close it, and then I've seen at times that they would transfer that balance or that debt to the new credit card for that person, but they would have to close that file first.
And that person has to be willing to open up a new card.
Exactly, and there's the other kicker right there.
And that's called a balance transfer. All right, everybody, that's a very valuable lesson that we've talked about. But, okay, say that he's making the payment like he's supposed to. She's got her divorce decree, so you can prove where it goes and all the things. She's got her big girl job, and she's out in the market. How long does she have to wait before she can purchase a home?
First paycheck.
All right. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So now what type of loan would she do? FHA?
That would be an FHA loan for sure.
And how much money is put down on FHA?
3.5% down. So basically, if the house is $200,000, then you're looking at $7,000.
$7,000. Okay, that's perfect. Now, then she has to put down closing costs as well.
That's where the Hill Country Queen comes in and negotiates the closing costs, because this is the reality of everything. Regardless whether you're buying at a $500,000 house or a $250,000 house, the majority of clients right now have enough for what? They have enough for down payment, which is great. Estimation, give everything between $8,000 to $10,000. Period. Okay, regardless of the price point at that we have. The problem here is that now you have two separate things, which is the closing costs. The closing costs are the costs that incur with the title company, the lender, the surveyor, inspectors, escrows, insurance, all that good stuff, and all that basically it ramps up pretty quickly.
It does. So I call closing costs the same as when you purchase a car, tax, title, and license.
There you go.
And we all understand that because we've all bought cars. So if you think of your closing cost as that, it makes it simpler, easier for you to understand. So just be aware of that. Now,
I like that.
Well, thank you.
Because we don't think, because when you're buying a vehicle, you don't care about the tax, title, license. Just let me sign, let's go. How much you owe me? $2,000. Here you go.
That's right.
Well, you got to think about that when you're buying a house as well. Wow. I like, you know what?
Same thing.
Wow. Okay. All
okay.
right.
Now, this is what I want you to also be aware of. There's a couple of things as a buyer that you need to do. If you buy with me, you are going to have an inspection on your home. Here's why. If it's a brand new home and it just fresh out of the bakery, it needs to be, we're going to inspect what we expect.
Wow.
If we find a beautiful home that's got these beautiful mature trees and we just love it and it's 10 minutes from our mom and like it's perfect for schools and daycares and all the things, it's magic. We love it. If you're a DIYer, magic. Here's the thing. We need to know what's wrong with it. I need to know that the roof is good. I need to know that you're going to be able to flush the toilet. You're going to be able to do the dishes. We need to make sure that your house is ready to go. It's usable. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong if we need to, fix the water pressure or we need to get a new dishwasher. But if the roof is leaking, we should know that.
That's true.
So we're going to inspect what we expect. So there's a cost for inspections, and it's anywhere from $250 to $750. So that's an upfront fee that us as the buyers are going to have to incur. So you have to be prepared for that. So that'll be out of pocket up front. Now, I always negotiate closing fees and all of that. Now, if there's money for us to get, we're going to get it. And if not, well, that's us as a buying team making that decision. Now, what if the home appraises for more than what we are purchasing the home for? Talk about that.
So basically what happens is they say, for example, the customer is already knowing that they need help in concessions.
Okay.
And there are times that the seller is going to say, we're not going to give any concessions. It's just the reality of things. Okay, that's fine. However, say for example they bought the house for $250,000 and it comes in at $260,000. Well, there's equity there of $10,000. Well, you can get that equity now. Basically, use those $10,000 to offset your closing costs now. So you're going to come in with less money at closing.
All right. Did you see that lesson? So when we're looking for a house, we're going to do two things. Number one, I want you to get the house of your dreams that we can afford. Now, those are two different things. Get off of DIY.
Want or afford. I get it. Okay.
Two different things. HGTV is not your friend, and I'm going to get killed for that. But it's very, very true. It costs more than $50 to paint a whole house.
Neither is Credit Karma. They're not your friend. But anyways,
that's a
whole different ballgame.
thing.
But anyways.
It's true. So you have to realize that if we find a house and we get it cheaper for what the market value is, that's instant equity. And am I always looking for that? You bet your bippy I am. And that's how we're able to roll closing costs that way. Or I'm going to ask for the seller to give us that money towards closing. Or I like to say any way I want it.
Sure.
Because you just never know how we need to use it. So just be aware of that. It's like when you buy a diamond ring, you paid $10,000 and it's worth $15,000, Lord willing. But who knows? Who knows?
I got you.
Okay, so that's important. So we figured out the closing costs. We figured out inspections, surveys. They won't have to pay for the survey as a buyer normally.
Normally they don't. Normally the seller will pay for that.
Okay, let's make sure. And a survey is the boundaries of the
The
house,
property.
the property lines, things of that nature. They should have a copy, but if they don't, we're going to ask for them to pay for that. What other closing costs that we might need to discuss?
Appraisal. So basically there's a couple of reports that are involved with purchasing a property. Number one, it's going to be the home inspection.
Okay.
From the beginning. That's straight up. And you said between $200 to $500 or whatever you said. Survey is probably about $550 around there, which is the topographic map of the property.
Okay.
What's so important about that is that if there's any easements or any issues with the property lines, it's going to come out there. That usually comes out at the end. Number one, that usually costs about $550.
We want to make sure the neighbor's not gardening in your
you go.
yard without permission.
Or this one that we've seen many times is that their fence is on your property line. So that becomes, that's not their fence anymore. That's your fence. But that's a whole different ballgame. That's why you have the Hill Country Queen to help you out there.
There you go.
And then you have your appraisal. The appraisal is probably one of the most important reports, and they're basically stating that if you're buying for $250,000, it's gonna be worth $250,000 at the minimum.
That's right, and that's the bank who wants to know that. And we have to pay for that, so just be prepared. So really the out-of-pocket costs are gonna be your earnest money, which is normally 1%. Then it's gonna be for your appraisal, and then it's gonna be for your inspection. All of these things protect you, because if we're paying $250,000 for a house that's worth $200,000, which I won't fall for that. We would never make an offer like that. But what if it happens? Well, guess what? We're gonna go back and say, see, we're not gonna pay $250,000 for a house that's worth $200,000. So we need the appraisal, we need the inspection to make sure the roof isn't leaking, and we need the survey to make sure that the neighbor's fence isn't on your property. So these are the three things that have to happen. And again, the survey is usually provided by the seller. So that's the out-of-pocket money. Then the tax, title, and license, like your car, happens at the end. We're either gonna pay for that, or we're gonna roll it, or we'll have them pay for that. So there's three scenarios. The seller pays for it, you pay for it, or we're gonna roll your closing cost, okay? Those are your three options.
That is correct. That is correct.
All right, we've got our earnest money for an FHA loan for 3.5%. What else?
Let me see. You know what? I have a good scenario.
Oh, I love it. I'm ready.
That I want to bring up, and this has to do with a couple, and not a lot of lenders know this, and that's what kind of bothers me. They don't get all the details on it. I've been in the business for 25 years, so kind of
Hold
helps
up.
up.
I hear a pro tip coming on.
Pro tip, is it? Oh, is this what a pro tip is?
This is a pro tip. This is where all of my listeners and my soon-to-be friends and customers learn something that they're not going to learn somewhere else. So pro tip, what you got?
Pro tip is this. Say you and your husband, you and your partner buying a property.
Okay.
Okay? Partner A, husband, wife, has great credit. The other person does not.
Oh.
Okay. So the other person does not, and so they can't be on the loan. So now they're considered a what? A non-purchasing spouse.
Okay.
Okay.
Non-purchasing spouse.
On an FHA loan, which is probably the most popular loan that the United States has, you have to count the debt of the non-purchasing spouse on the loan. They're not going to be on the loan, but you got to count their debt.
Okay. Okay.
So this is where a lot of the couples get, how can I say, they get very intimidated with the process, because they're like, well, I do qualify by myself, but if you add my partner's information, it's going to kill the deal. Okay. So, but see, this is where lenders in general need to discover more information in the beginning. Okay. So tell me, bad credit spouse, what happened? Well, before I got married, stop right there. Before I got married, I had all these student loans, and I didn't pay them. Okay. Before you got married? Yes, before you got married. Okay, so here's a tip. As on an FHA guideline, if you can prove that those debts were done prior to the marriage, we don't have to count them.
Pro tip. Did you hear that?
That's a huge pro tip.
That is a huge. So basically, pro tip, if you are purchasing a home and person A has good credit, person B does not have good credit, and person B who had the bad credit got the bad credit before they married, and we can prove it, you can buy a house. All right. Okay, I just learned something new today.
I got another pro tip.
Oh, okay, here we
Another
go.
pro tip, and
Pro
this is
tip.
pro tip for our veterans.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
this is a
I
good
like
one.
this.
Okay,
I like
this is a good one.
Okay, I'm paying attention.
So, same concept. On any government loan, whether it's FHA or VA, you have to count the non-purchasing spouse's debts. We all know that. Perfect. However, on a VA loan, same thing. Veteran 1, which is the borrower, has great credit. Spouse has bad credit. But spouse also works.
Okay.
Okay, so then the issue here is like we want to max out at 400,000, but I don't qualify without my spouse's, which has the bad credits, income.
Okay.
All right. So if on a VA loan, if the non-purchasing spouse's income, we're going to use their income to offset their debt. So now you're just taking consideration the veteran's income and debts.
All right. You guys listening to that? That's a pro tip for all of our.
That's huge.
That's huge. So for all of our VA listeners and all of our veterans and all of our serving military.
And thank you for your services. I really do agree. We greatly appreciate it, especially during these times right now.
That's right. So thank you for your service. But here's what's important. You need to schedule a time to meet with me, and there'll be a link below for you to get on my calendar for a 30 minutes. It's nothing for us to have a conversation for me to point you in the right direction, but you can also get on Will's calendar as well, so you can learn the different things that you can do to get where you're trying to go. If you want a house, let's get a house. You want investment properties? Let's get investment properties.
You're so welcoming. You really are.
I am here to help. You
That's
guys,
awesome.
Your dream is my dream. It's not my dream. I'm living my dream. But I want your
Love
dream.
it.
I want you to reach your dream. And Will wants the same thing as well.
Absolutely.
We're very old school. We answer the phone. We'll answer your text message. The worst thing you're going to get from me is, all right, give me 20. Let me finish this and I'll be in my car.
Yeah.
Hang tight. I'm coming. That's what we want to do. Let's rent your property. Let's buy homes. You know, just because you're getting transferred from San Antonio to somewhere else doesn't mean you have to sell the property to move on.
No, you don't.
You do not. You do not. And I say that this is important. This is a lesson I want everybody to learn. So we all have 401ks, and that's great, and your company will match. Even better, because that's free money, right? But that doesn't mean that that's the only thing you should have in your 401k. And somebody else is running that 401k. You need to consider your investment properties, your 401k, that you're in charge of.
True.
That's your money.
True.
And as long as that property clears and it pays for itself, guess what? The land value is increasing, the home is increasing, and you're making money. Quiet and steady. Quiet and steady. And if you have to replace something on there, guess what? Who cares? Now you just get to write that off on your taxes and save yourself whatever money you just spent. Just saying, that's a pro tip.
The other thing, Vanessa, that I've heard is that, say for example, you have empty nesters that are living in San Antonio, for example, and their child is going to school in Texas A&M, for example. Okay, so usually by that time, and let's be realistic, your parents are going to be at College Station half the time, anyways, right? So
That's right.
A lot of people think that home, they can't afford that home because it's going to be the cliche of, well, I have to give 20% down, and that is incorrect.
Nope.
So for an investment property, on a single family residence only, okay? On a single family residence.
Not a condo.
Not a fourplex or no condo, yes. A condo or a single family residence. Can't be a duplex, can't be a fourplex.
Okay, that's
Can't be multifamily.
Okay.
You can actually give down only 15%. Number one. Or if they're gonna be literally there half the time during the month or whatever it is, you know what I mean? They can actually convert that to a second home.
Okay.
And now it becomes 10% down, not 20. So the cliche, don't believe everybody that's saying it's 20%. It's not 20%.
So there's an option for 10% down.
And 15%.
And 15% down. But also, let me ask this question. If the kids are going to lease the property from mom and dad, that builds their credit, right?
Well, yes and no. Let me tell you the reason why. Now, you know
Especially
what?
if you make them pay rent.
I am glad you brought that up.
They need to pay rent.
Or check this out. Well, yes. Okay, thank you very much for bringing that up. if you can prove, right, but the kids have to be on the loan. Say the kids are on the loan, right?
Okay.
They're on the loan, and mom and dad are using the income to qualify them. That property in a College Station now becomes a primary residence. So now you don't need 15 to 20% down, nor 10. You can come in. You could come in with that with 5% down. That has to go conventional.
Okay, so it's 5% down, and the kids have to have a job.
No.
No job.
No job, just a credit score.
Oh, well, we're going to do another video about credit scores.
So anyways.
You can rest assured that's coming, but did you guys hear that? So now you have a secondary property that your kids are going to go to school in. They're going to live there. You're building equity for your 401k. Instead of somebody else running your 401k, you're running your 401k, and we're going to call it the family 401k.
Basically.
Yeah, that's what
you're setting
is.
it up. It's basically what you're doing. You're setting it up now.
That's right. That's so important. Then they live there, they graduate, all the things, whatever degrees they want to get, and then guess what? You can either keep renting it out, because I like to rent out properties, or we're going to sell it, because I have yet to see property get cheaper at Texas A&M or UT Austin or UT San Antonio or Texas A&M.
Well, it's getting expensive.
Yes.
It's getting expensive.
It is. But that's an investment. So instead of you shucking out, let me see, my nephew is going to UTSA. He said it's going to cost me $1,500 to live at UTSA. That doesn't include the meal plan and all of that. And he has to move out over Christmas and then take his stuff home and then bring it on back. So plus there's the food plan. So it could very well be cheaper for you to own a house or a condo.
Yeah.
And it's an investment. And then when the kids are all done and you can sell it, it's money right there, everybody. So
Or just keep on leasing it out.
I'm all about that.
That just became a rental property.
It's a rental property. Now it's a write-off on your taxes.
Yeah.
Amen to that one right there.
Yep.
All right, you guys. If you have any questions about being a first-time home buyer, being a buyer, buying your second property or third property, we definitely want you to get on my calendar. I want you to get on Will's calendar. Check and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the things. We are going to continue to do these videos, but what's important is that we're going to do them based on scenarios. So if there's a scenario that you are living in, you need to reach out, and guess what? We're going to do a video on it so that way you can have some information. Information is power. 20 years ago, they didn't have this information. There wasn't a way for us to share it besides, showing up at a cocktail party, which I'm very still willing to show up at a cocktail party.
More than willing to.
Absolutely. So as always, like and subscribe for more information. Drop a comment, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
Appreciate
everybody.
it.
Hope to see you around town.
The Hill Country Queen.
It is me.
There you go.